Alright, in this video, I want to walk you guys through the differences between the free indicator that you have today and the pro version, which we only charge $37 a month for, and we've really thrown in a lot of stuff for that $37. So what you see on my screen right now, I have a random stock, ADP, and what I have two charts. So let's go through my indicators. I have the buy-sell zones, which is what you have. The only difference is this version has some added features, but we'll get to those later. For right now, what I have on my charts is has the same capabilities as what you have in the free version. My settings are as follows on both charts. So this is all that I have on the chart. I have a 1440 minute chart, which that's the time frame you're going to need to use if you're going to trade a daily chart. There's something to do with the way that NinjaTrader looks at the daily close, and for whatever reason, if I use an actual daily chart, my zone confirmations start one day too soon. So use a 1440 minute and that solves the problem. Okay, the chart on the right is a weekly chart. I don't have that problem on the weekly, so you can just use weekly. The reason I have two charts is because I like to look at the higher time frame trend when I'm taking trades in stocks. Now I'm going to send another video that'll give you guys ideas on how to apply this to futures, because I know I've had a lot of questions on day trading futures. But for now, we're going to stick with this. Okay, there's on YouTube, I've posted the course, and inside that course, it walks you through how to determine the trend. So go ahead and go to that video. It'll help you walk through the trend, but just high level, very simple. I prefer to be trading with the higher time frame trend. I don't necessarily require my trading time frame trend to be in my favor, but I definitely want my high time frame. So my weekly in this case is my high time frame or my HTF. My chart on the left here is my trading time frame or my TTF. So with the free version, what you can do is you just apply the indicator on both charts, and you can see a couple different things. One, you can easily go through here and you can determine the trend. Again, reference the video to figure out how to do that. So we can clearly see that the trend is bullish all through here on the weekly. And then we can come over here to our daily and we can look for trades. So one thing that you can do with the pro version is I can actually get rid of this weekly chart, because I can print the trend on this weekly chart over here. In addition, I can actually print these zones from the weekly on my daily chart. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So I can come in here and go to indicators, and let's just go ahead and apply the buy-sell zones a second time. But this time I'm going to use a custom period, and I'm going to use the weekly. I'm going to set this to 1. And keep the same settings here. One thing I'm going to change though is I'm going to change the color, because I need to know which one's a weekly and which one's a daily. So my dark green is my daily. I'll use a corn powder blue. Interesting name. I'll use that for the weekly buy zone. And let's see. I don't want something too bright. Let's go with a slate blue, I guess. No, let's go something with a red color. Go with the pink color. Alright, let's apply that. Alright, so now check this out. So now over here you can see this blue zone lines up perfectly with that buy zone on the weekly. So now I know exactly where my weekly buy zones are. In addition, I'm going to go to market structure trend, use custom period, week 1. I'm going to label this week trend. That way I know. And in addition, let's just apply it again. And we don't need to use custom period because we're going to keep the period that we're on. It's going to be day trend. Apply that. So now what we have is we have the weekly trend on the top, the daily trend on the bottom, and we also have the weekly zones. So what do we know here? Okay, we know that at this point right here, price is inside of a weekly zone, and we have a weekly trend. So would this be a good place to be a buyer? Potentially. It would at least be a good place for you to potentially engage a trade. Now, you would then need to think through your system, how you like to trade, and what your entry points might be. But this would give you a great place to start. Let's go back here because we can see back here we also go into a trend. Now, check this out. We're inside of a weekly buy zone. We come down. Here's a daily buy zone. This one doesn't work out. We come down to this one. This is an old zone. This is an older zone. Maybe it's one you want to trade, maybe not. But look what happens here. Price starts coming back up. It creates new structure. And now you have a day zone inside of a weekly zone, and you get a beautiful trade out of that. So this is what the Pro version allows you to do. Now, we can actually take this a step further. Let me show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to take this chart, and I'm going to turn this into a 1440 minute. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove the buy sell zone. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to do the overlap. Here's where it gets fun. So I can actually take the overlap. For now, I'm going to remove these are called auction zones. We'll get to those in a minute. But I'm going to remove the overlap. So what I can do, you see this area right here on my left chart? I can, if I want to only show those zones, I can do that. So we're going to come in here. I'm going to do HTF must print before. So that what that means is there has to be a zone present on the high time frame, which means this blue zone has to have already been there before my trading time frame zone. And we're going to look at a week. So that's my HTF period. If I wanted to, I could actually require a second high time frame. I personally don't normally do that, but you can. Keep these settings. Then you have another input here called wiggle ticks. That is how far apart the zones can be for it to be considered an overlap. I normally just put this at 0, but you can play around with that. If you have this at say 10 or 20, that will print more overlap zones. Okay, let's hit OK on this. All right, here we go. So now if we look over here at our chart, we can actually see, look at the left chart. So we can see where we have the overlap. So you can see this, starting with the chart on the left here, we have this zone that runs from here to here, right? But you can see the only portion that overlaps is right here. So over on this side, that's all you see, is just the piece that overlaps. And then again, we have this zone, this one overlaps, doesn't work out, then here's this one. So this chart now, you have a really clean chart that only shows your overlap zones. And you can overlap with any time frame. You can I like to look at a weekly, but I also like to overlap the daily. So a daily with a daily. You can see like right here, looking at the left chart, see how we have a green zone here and a green zone here? They overlap right here. So if I wanted to, I can come over here and I can just change this to minute and do a 1440. And that's going to give me this overlap zone. And there it is. So you can see you get a much cleaner chart, much better action, fewer trades. Right? So that's the whole purpose of the overlap and the pro version. Now, there's more. Okay? So, in addition to market structure, I also have a method that I like to use to follow momentum. I call them auction zones. They're areas where price has paused and then moved very quickly in the direction of the momentum. So let me show you what that looks like. Okay, so we're going to go down to TBN auction zones. Okay, now there's a lot of settings here, but basically a lot of the same stuff. You can use a custom time frame. This one actually has built-in momentum trend, so this is a different trend than market structure. It's the momentum trend, which is also included in the pro version. And then it actually has my favorite bar types built into it. So you can color the bars when they're inside of the momentum, or when they're inside of the auction zones, and these bars will change color, showing you where you could potentially take a trade. All right. So okay, let's go ahead and apply this to our chart. And here we go. So you're going to notice we have more zones. So let me expand this chart for us. So you can see the red lines and the green lines, and you can see where the bars changed color, indicating where you would potentially get into a trade. You can see they change colors here, they change color here. This would be for long, even though you're in a red zone. Again, I don't short stocks personally. So this is showing us momentum. Basically what's happening is the market's moving up, it pauses, and then heads higher rapidly, showing the momentum. So if we go back, you can see it doesn't always work out, right? Here's one you take a loss on. Again, here's another one, but look at this one. You're inside of a red zone. So I don't know that you want to be taking a trade there. Here's a sell where you're in a red zone along with a market structure zone, and you get a little move down. See, these are the areas back here that I would want to be engaging, like right here. Even though I don't have blue bars on this one, I have a buy zone, I have an auction zone, and they're together. And look at that beautiful trade there. So this is also included inside of the pro package. In addition, the overlap. So if we remove all of this, I'm going to remove the auction zones. The overlap actually has the auction zones built into it, but it's only going to show you where your market structure overlaps with your momentum zones or your auction zones. On this one, I don't require that the high time frame print first. I don't care about that. So let's go ahead and take this and so your auction time frame period is going to be whatever your trading time frame is. So we know that's going to be our 1440. Our high time frame period, let's also make that 1440. So now we're only going to see areas where our daily buy sell zones overlap with our, hold on, let me get rid of our buy sell zones. It's going to show us where areas overlap. Let me set this to 1440. Set this to 0. All right, so this is going to be one clean chart that's going to show us our market structure as well as our momentum. And here we go. See, here's an auction zone where it overlaps with momentum. So look at this series here. You have a trade here, you have a trade here, and then you have a trade here. Okay? And then again, you come up here. Price does not make it back to here, so there's no trade here. However, you come right through this one and comes to this one, so you'd have a trade there, and that ends up working out just fine. That's a pretty good move. Comes back into it here, and you get another move. This one, you finally get one that doesn't work out. You get the idea here, okay? So very clean. You get a period here where you go sideways. Doesn't do so well, but now you're back to crushing it. Right? Very clean chart, easy to spot the trades. And then in addition, one last thing is, which is also included, is going to be the trend direction for your momentum. So let's just say here that we wanted to, we're just going to show the trend direction for the chart that we're on, but let's say we also want to show the weekly. This is going to show us the momentum trend for the weekly. And ticks above move is when you would notice or when you would change the trend. So for a weekly, 4 ticks really isn't very much. You know, I'm probably going to increase that, make it. You can just choose a number that you want. There's no magic formula here, guys. I know people try to make it appear that there is. We're going to do the same thing for this one. Ticks above, make it 60. And now we have both the momentum on the weekly, on the daily, and we have the market structure. So you come in here and you can see at this point right here, I have the weekly trend in my favor, I have the daily trend in my favor, and I have the daily momentum in my favor. The weekly momentum has not changed yet, it's just neutral. Oh wait, I actually might be my daily momentum. Oh, that's my daily. Let's label those. So my daily momentum is neutral, my weekly is bullish, and then again you come here and you've got, right here you have all 4 of them in your favor. Here you have 3 of the 4. I mean, you get the idea here, guys. Here you have a handful of things against you, but then once you get to this point, you have 2 of the 4 in your favor. All right? So it allows you a lot of flexibility for putting things into one place. Okay, so that wraps up this video. Be on the lookout. There's another video that's going to give you ideas on day trading, like day trading futures with tick charts and stuff, versus swing trading off of weeklies and dailies.